All right, Steph, thank you. Well, we tell you all the time, even with increased vaccinations and reopenings, COVID-19 is still a concern, and one variant is being especially concerning. Stephanie Whitfield connects the dots.
As the race to vaccinate Americans against the coronavirus continues, another variant has been found in this country. Let's connect the dots. This so-called double mutant variant was first discovered in India. As you can guess, this variant contains 2 mutations to the coronavirus. The mutations have been seen before in different variants. One is similar to the so-called California variant. The other was found in variants discovered in Brazil and South Africa. The first case of this double mutant variant in the U.S. was diagnosed in a patient in the San Francisco area. So what does this mean? Experts are concerned these mutations make the variant more contagious. That's because both help the virus latch onto cells. India first revealed its existence in March. Now cases are surging in the country. In one hard-hit Indian state, cases have increased 50% in just a week. But political leaders claim the new variant is not necessarily to blame, instead pointing fingers at large gatherings. More research is needed on this double mutant variant, but experts are hopeful the current vaccines will be effective against it. Despite the lack of hard data, they point to the fact that the vaccines work on these same mutations seen individually in other variants. But the emergence of this new variant of concern reinforces to health officials that widespread vaccinations are needed to stop the creation of new mutations. Connecting the dots, Stephanie Whitfield, KHOU 11 News.